Hi, my name is Frank Kern. I haven't had a job since 1999. For the past 25 years, I've been selling my own information, my own intellectual property, and software on the internet. And I've done well over $50 million in personal revenue doing that, which if you think about it, over 25 years, that's really not that big of a deal. Sounds cool, though. I've also written some of the biggest campaigns in the history of the online marketing world, specifically within the sub-niche of selling business advice and how to grow your business. These are 15 things that I've learned along the way that have helped me sell more stuff and make more money, and I hope they help you too. Let's get into it. So, how do you deal with skeptics? First of all, dude, you're gonna get skeptics, man. No one's gonna look at you and be like, totally, I wanna buy this person's stuff immediately. It's normal. So instead of being defensive about it or trying to talk people out of it or getting offended by it or thinking you've done something wrong, understand that it's human nature. And you know what? Unless your stuff is literally for every single person on the planet, address it head on. In your marketing, in your advertising, tell people that should be skeptical of your stuff that, hey, it's probably not for you. So I talk about like building businesses and how to make more money and how to sell more stuff. And I like to come right out and say, look, if you're expecting some sort of magic bullet or to get rich quick overnight without doing any work, this is totally not for you. Everything's harder than it looks, and you're not going to enjoy this, so don't get it. When I do that, what I see happening is the skeptics go away, but the people who are right for what it is you're selling, they tend to trust you more because you're one of the only people that have actually been upfront with them. And that just makes you sell better, helps you sleep better at night too. So give it a shot. It's always worked for me. All right, so here's a little trick that you can steal from roughly like $100 billion of ad spend, and that is to make your domain name memorable. Some of the biggest brands ever were built on things like television ads and radio ads and newspaper ads. And you can't click a TV ad or a radio ad or a newspaper ad. You have to actually remember the business name that you're seeing the ad from. Well, we started like using really easy to remember domain names in all of our content. And we would like say things like, hey, if you like this, go to frankkernbook.com and buy my book. Shameless plug. Anyway, what ends up happening is people see the stuff, they see the content, they're like, oh, that's pretty good. And then you tell them to go to a domain name. If it's easy to remember, you will get people typing in the domain name, going to the site and buying stuff, not clicking your ad. They literally remember it and they type it in and they buy your stuff. We get roughly $20,000 of free traffic from people typing in easy to remember domain names for my business just because I say things like, very clever plug. Go to frankkernbook.com if you want to get a book on how to create campaigns that sell. Give it a try. It works pretty well. You know, I think I heard Gary Vee say this one time, but I'm not sure, but I'm just going to say he said it anyway, which was, if you can't make it today, then you're basically an idiot. And I'm paraphrasing there, and it might not have even been him that said it, but whoever said it was right, because right now we've got it made. We can put content like advertising content, whether it's a video like this or whether it's like an actual hardcore ad or whatever, in front of the perfect, absolute perfect prospect for pennies. And by pennies, I mean literally pennies. My first ad that I ever ran was way, way back in like 1994 or something. And it was on TV. It cost me $5,000 to run something like 10 TV spots, and maybe 20,000 people saw the ad or whatever. You know, you can get your ad in front of 20,000 people for something like $100 max right now. That's nothing. And because of social media, we get instant feedback. And because we can track everything, we get to know what works and what doesn't. And because we can send people emails that basically cost nothing, we can grow businesses with very, very little upfront costs. So yeah, whoever said that, they were right. We're living in the best times ever. And I'll tell you something. It can't possibly get any better than this. And the reason I say that is because every time I say that, it ends up getting better than this. So I hope I'm proven wrong once again. All right, one thing I've learned after spending millions of dollars of my own money running my own ads for my own stuff is there's 3 things you got to keep in mind in order to make sure that your ads work. Thing number 1, as my hero and one of my many teachers, David Ogilvy, always said, was we sell or else. The purpose of an ad is to get people to buy something eventually. Yeah, everyone's like, you should get your name out there or whatever. That's adorable. You know what? You can't deposit getting your name out there. You need to get sales. Otherwise, what's the point? The second thing is never view advertising as an expense. It shouldn't be an expense. It should always be making you money. If you buy a house for $20,000 and then you go sell it tomorrow for $30,000, was the house an investment or an expense? It was an investment. It made you money. But how do you know that your ads are going to make you money? Well, that brings us to the third thing, which is you should track everything. If you make every single ad dollar accountable for itself, and you make sure that either it sells or it's off, then you can't go wrong. Now, that doesn't mean every single time you launch an ad is going to make you money, but it does mean that you're going to reduce the risk of your stuff not working, and you're going to reduce the risk of you losing any significant amount of money greatly. So those three things, keep that in mind. Don't overcomplicate it. You're going to do fine. Okay, here's the big secret about making sure that ad campaigns work. Anything that you're doing, if you're running an ad, you need this: time and data. Look, I've been teaching people how to sell stuff online since 1999. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with people where they'll start an ad campaign and they'll come to me like, dude, I spent $20 and I'm not rich yet. I'm like, yeah, because you just got started. When you expect things to happen overnight, it's like going, I planted this avocado seed yesterday. Where the hell's my avocado tree? Like, you have to give these sort of things time, but time alone is not going to make it work. You also have to have data. So you have to have information. You need to know how many clicks you're getting, how many people are clicking on the ad, how many people are going to, let's say, your opt-in page, how many people are opting in, how many people are reading your emails, how many people out of those are going to your order form on your sales page, how many of those people are buying. Usually, if something's not working, it's not the whole thing that's broken. It's usually one of those four things. They're either not clicking, which means the ad sucks, or they're not opting in, which means your opt-in page sucks, or they're not buying the stuff from your sales page, which means your sales page sucks. But there's one little hidden ingredient that overpowers all of that stuff, and that's following up. So if you get a lead and you send them like 4 emails and they don't buy anything and you quit, well, you might as well just throw money away and get used to being broke. People don't buy at first. You absolutely have to follow up with people. You can take a crappy campaign, change nothing, simply add more email follow-up to it, and you'll end up turning that thing around and potentially making it wildly profitable. That's been my experience over the past 25 years. It works well for me. Give it a shot, see what happens. Okay, so you want to run ads, you want to know how much you should spend, and basically what you really want to know is what's going to happen if I run this ad. Well, here's what's going to happen. It's going to be one of these 3 things. Let's say you run any ad for 30 days. Thing number 1 that's going to happen, totally sucks. Nobody buys anything. Big, fat goose egg. Thing number 2 is, does okay. Thing number 3 is, it's awesome. Doesn't matter which of those 3 things happen. Couple of things to keep in mind. Number 1, don't expect it to happen overnight. Number 2, in the event it's not going the way that you wanted it to, it doesn't mean everything's terrible. It means that only a couple of possible things are broken. Thing number 1, people aren't clicking on your ad. Okay? Just change the ad. Problem solved. Thing number 2, people are going to your website and they're not buying stuff. Okay? That means whatever you're saying on the website, wrong stuff, type different stuff. Now you probably solved the problem. Thing number 3 is they're starting to order, but they're not, which is a big portion of people, by the way. Easy thing to fix that is simply send more follow-ups. As a matter of fact, really, if you just send more follow-ups, no matter what's going on, you'll probably end up making more money. I have this tattooed on my knuckles, 100x ROAS, 100 times return on ad spend. There's no single ad that's ever going to make that happen. The way I make that happen is following up. That's the big magic secret that's going to make everything else work way better. Just give it a try and see for yourself. Okay, look, everything that you've ever learned about selling stuff online is wrong. It wasn't always wrong. It used to be right, but now it's wrong. I know, that sounds weird. So back in the day, the old formula was we need to find the laser-targeted perfect person to show our stuff to so that we'll get the most conversions. So like, okay, I want to sell to a female dog owner who's divorced that has 3 kids that likes kittens and knitting, and that's my perfect customer avatar. That used to be right, but now we have social media, and social media has AI and machine learning. So what we can do now is we can just make content that says, hey, let's say we're selling something about juggling. Content can be like, hey, you like juggling? Watch this. And then you're juggling or whatever it is you're doing. Social media's algorithms are so smart that if people watch that content or click on it or go to your site or buy something, if you keep doing it long enough, it'll figure out exactly who to start showing your stuff to. And you don't have to deal with any of that crazy targeting stuff. So forget about all the stuff that used to be right but is no longer right, and be thankful that we're living in the age that we're living in, where we can just say, read this if you want to buy this thing, and then the social media algorithms will do all the heavy lifting for you. Don't overthink it. Just give it a shot. This works very, very well for me, so I'd love to see how it works for you. All right, so I've written some of the biggest campaigns literally in the history of the internet marketing industry. And by that specifically, I mean within the context of like selling things about growing businesses. Personally sold well over $50 million of my own stuff over the past 25 years, which really isn't that much given the fact that it's 25 years. Here's what I learned. Where most of the sales come from, really in this industry or any industry, it's not an amazing ad, although that helps. It's not amazing sales copy on your page, although that helps pretty well. It's not necessarily the offer, but you can't have a crappy offer, but a moderately good offer is okay. The magic bullet, if we want to sort of invent one, is sending follow-up. Here's the thing. Most people aren't going to do what you want them to do. All right, so if somebody opts in to watch your webinar or to read your special report or become a lead or whatever, most of them aren't going to go to your sales letter. And the people who do go to your sales letter, most of them aren't going to buy. And the people who start to buy aren't going to actually finish their checkout process. I call this the law of dammits, by the way. Most people simply won't. How do you fix it? Well, we could slave over trying to make everything perfect, or we could just follow up with them. The reason most people aren't doing stuff isn't because they don't like you, they don't think your product's good, they don't want it. It's because they're people. They're procrastinating and they're waiting until the very last minute, or they just need more information. If you keep following up with them until they either buy or say no, you're going to make significantly more money than if you don't. So test it, see what happens. It's only been working for me for 25 consecutive years. So on my end, I'm going to call this one a holy grail. So here's an interesting way to get unexpected free sales within reason and context. Check this out. So did this experiment, spent a ton of money doing it, and still do it, where I'll take content like this and I'll turn it into an ad, and it doesn't even sell anything. It's just like trying to help people, the old demonstrate you can help them by actually helping them trick. And what has ended up happening historically, still happening to this day, is when you make content that genuinely serves your audience and helps them, number one, they'll probably buy more of whatever it is you're trying to promote in your content. But number two, they'll end up like Googling you or your company or whatever, and then they'll go and buy other stuff that's completely unrelated to whatever it is that you're making content about. Within my own business, I'll have every day sales of courses and programs that I haven't promoted in years, because people will see content like this and they're like, huh, that was pretty good. And then they'll go Google me personally, and then they'll like see other stuff that I've made, and then they'll buy it. And if you do this and you make good content that actually does the old demonstrate you can help people by actually helping them trick, and you keep doing it and you keep showing it to the right people, same thing will probably happen to you. I call it the halo effect. It's just yet another great benefit of using intent-based branding and putting good content out there and being consistent. So enjoy the free sales. I know I do. All right, so content marketing, pretty big deal. Question is, what do you say in your content? You don't want to be like everybody else, and you also don't want to look stupid. Well, I've never figured out how to not look stupid, but I do know what to say in your content. Here's what it should be about. Your prospect cares about these three things only: what they want, how they're going to get what they want, and then what their life is going to be like after they get what they want. And more specifically, if you want to drill down even deeper, all they care about is how to get rid of bad stuff, like any sort of unpleasantry they're experiencing, or how to get good stuff. So here's an example. Let's say you're selling, I don't know, some sort of information or a supplement or something for dudes over 40 that need to lose weight. Not that I would know anything about that. So here's what your content would be. You might say something like, hey, if you're a dude over 40 and you need to lose some weight, but you don't want to go to the gym all the time, here are 3 things that you could eat that cause fat to magically melt away. And then God knows what that would be, right? That's it. You're talking about what the person wants and how they get it. That's the magic structure. It doesn't need to be about you. Everything we make is always about them. And if you keep doing that, what you're basically doing, using the oldest trick in the book, which is demonstrate you can help people by actually helping them, that increases trust, increases confidence. When it comes time for them to be ready to make a buying decision, you're the person they go to. And you didn't even have to try to look cool, which from my experience is impossible. Give it a shot. Works pretty good. All right, so you probably shouldn't post content all the time. Well, maybe you should if you want to, but the amount of stuff that you put out there is not really the magic key. Stuff does not equal value. The thing that makes content marketing work and makes this whole social media thing work is actually helping people. So if you focus all of your efforts on how can I make content that's going to actually be the most valuable thing I can give to this person in this moment, instead of how can I game the system to make more stuff, you're probably going to get more sales, even if you don't get more views. And who cares anything about followers? You can just get in front of anybody you want to with advertising. So every single piece of content should always be about this: what the person wants, how they get what they want, or what life will be like after they get what they want. And if you're like really want to drill down into even more specific examples, just always talk about ways they can get what they want and make sure that those ways are genuinely helpful and real. And if you keep doing that, and the same person keeps seeing you say the same things where you're helping them get more of what they want, when it comes time for them to buy, you're going to be the natural choice. Pretty simple. So don't try to be like everybody else and be the next, person with 25 gold-plated, diamond-encrusted flying Lamborghinis. Just make content that helps people, and the course of nature will take care of itself, and you'll be doing pretty good. Some of the best business advice I ever got, at least in terms of marketing, was from one of my teachers by the name of Dan Kennedy. And I owe Dan Kennedy so much in terms of what I've learned from him. And one of the things he said really stuck with me, which is, hey, look, the trick to marketing is to get the right message in front of the right person at the right time. And back when I learned this, 7 million years ago, you would have to use like direct mail, or you'd have to, only thing we had was like search engine marketing or whatever. And now everything's different because of social media. So what you and I have the ability to do is, if we make content, let's say that's specifically for parents that live in Alabama with a 2-year-old child or younger that are divorced, well, guess what? Because of the way social media's targeting options are, you can actually create content and then for pennies on the dollar, make that content shown only to those people. Right now, I do that very method. It's called using reach ads on social media, and I make posts like these. I spend $1 per day per post, and I'm becoming very famous, but only to the perfect prospects. So they're seeing me all the time, and whenever that time becomes the right time, they're getting the right message, and then they're buying. It's a great way to saturate your market, become super famous, and more importantly, help people along the way, assuming that the content you're making for them is pretty good. So give it a whirl. Let me know what happens. Okay, stop it. Just stop. So I know, like, we see all these like cool influencers and stuff, and we're like, oh, I guess I should be like cool like this person or whatever. And those people are all super neat, and they got like whatever gold-plated, diamond-encrusted flying Lamborghinis, and they ride lions to work every day. But at the end of the day, no one cares about that stuff. You don't have to try to be cool. All your customer cares about is themselves, which is wonderful because it takes the pressure off of you or me to try to look cool. Could you imagine how hard that and exhausting that would be to try to be cool. So if instead of like worrying about looking right or having the right credentials or having a cool car or whatever, if you just focus everything you're doing to like actually use, I call it the oldest trick in the book, to demonstrate you can help people by actually helping them and make everything you do just about them and how they can get what they want. You could be a complete weird looking old man with tattoos all over your body and bad posture and still make a metric crap ton of sales and money because you're just helping people. So give that a shot. Take the pressure off yourself. Don't overthink it. Get out there and do some good in the world. No matter what happens, you will have done some good in the world and good things will happen to you as a result. But you'll probably end up selling some stuff too, which is a pretty good thing. All right, imagine this for a minute. Weird story, but bear with me. So the Super Bowl people call you up. Yeah, they're out there. They call themselves the Super Bowl people. The people that sell ads on the Super Bowl, because that's like the holy grail, right? Like, man, the Super Bowl ads. If I had an ad on the Super Bowl, I'd be a billionaire. Not true. So they call you up. They're like, hey, you want to buy a Super Bowl ad? And you're like, dude, isn't that real expensive? They're like, yeah, but we'll give you a bargain. And you're like, well, how much of one? They're like, we'll give it to you for $1 million. You're like, good God, dude, it's $1 million. They're like, okay, 100 grand. You're like, I don't know. 100 grand's a lot of money. Like, how about 10 grand? And you're like, I don't know. You know what? It wouldn't be worth paying $1,000 for, because think about this. You get on the Super Bowl. A bazillion people see your ad one time. Okay. How many of those people are actually prospects for whatever it is you sell? Probably not many. How many of them are immediately going to go buy your stuff? Probably not many. Let me tell you something that's better than having an ad on the Super Bowl that you can do right now for like $1. That's take videos like this that are actually genuinely helpful to whoever your perfect person is, and then run special social media ads called reach ads and show them that content. When you use something called a reach ad, what you're doing is you're able to show people videos like this one or written posts, doesn't matter, for like $5 per 1,000 impressions, which is pennies. It's nothing, but you're putting it in front of the absolute perfect person because you can use laser targeting. I've been testing this method for years, like literally 4 years. And as a direct result of doing this, instead of spending all kinds of crazy money on other stuff, I've become super famous in a tiny little niche market, and I'm getting sales constantly, and I'm hardly having to spend any money doing it. I know it's like completely opposite of what most people say to do, but give it a shot and see what happens. And hey, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that's the worst case scenario. You didn't have to really spend a lot of money. But in the event that I'm right, well, you're going to be stoked because you're getting in front of the perfect people, you're making sales, and you're hardly spending anything. So best of luck to you. Let me know what happens. All right, so everybody's always asking me, literally everybody, the entire world is always asking me, how do I get more traffic? Dude, getting traffic's easy. Like, what planet are we on here? We can buy traffic from Facebook or Google. Those are like some of the biggest companies in the world, and their entire mission is to sell traffic to people like us. Getting traffic's easy. It's not the issue. You can get it tomorrow. 10 minutes from now, you can have an ad account set up, and for $5, you can start getting clicks or whatever. That's nothing. The trick is to sell stuff. So that is what we should really be focusing on, which is how do I get customers? And the magic formula to getting customers comes down to this. Number one, the offer, right? So if the offer is something that nobody wants, probably not going to sell it. Second thing is what your webpage says. If the words and pictures and stuff on your webpage don't say the right thing, doesn't matter how good the offer is. If the words and pictures are bad, no one's going to buy it. And the third thing is really kind of the magic bullet, which is most people who go to your webpage aren't immediately going to buy. But if you follow up with them, either by retargeting or by email follow-up, then you're going to make a lot more sales. Since 1999, I've been selling things online. Sold easily well over $50 million in my own information and intellectual property, and God knows how much of other people's stuff. Number one thing that's always worked, my big secret, is I just follow up with people a lot. If you do that, you can kind of forget about the other things and just do that and focus on that one thing. You're going to be okay. So stop worrying about traffic. Start thinking about follow-up and getting sales. Offer, copy, follow-up. Emphasis on follow-up. Have we said follow-up enough? Let's say it one more time. Say it with me. Follow-up. Try it. Let me know what happens. I think you're gonna be happy with the results.